that's a great question, and actually it can have an effect on us. So we have a conference where we talk to our health and medical doctors, and we also talk to our psychological doctors to make sure that our mental health is doing fine. And but honestly, being able to speak with my family is probably the single most important thing to just keeping me centered. It's not even about being happy all the time. It keeps me centered so that I can focus on work when I need to focus on work. But there are lots of different ways, and the most important thing is that we have a variety of tools at our disposal because no one way is going to work for every crew member. Good question, over. Iris, I would say the hardest is an actual informal requirement that you spend so much time away from your loved ones, your family and friends. That's the hardest. But in terms of the hard brass tacks objectives and training that we do, the toughest thing for me was getting to the level of Russian language proficiency that is required to fly on the space station. I've heard it's the equivalent of taking 4 years of Russian in college and then doing a study abroad for one term. And we usually get to that point in about 2 years. So it was pretty challenging academically. Over. Celeste, not only do I believe that, I'm working to do my part to make sure that that happens. So I hope that if that is a dream of yours, that what we're doing up here today enables you guys to do so in the future. Over. When I was young, I saw a space shuttle launch on television, and that was the beginning of it. And then later, as a professional, I was a pilot going through test pilot school, and I saw one of our few female shuttle commanders, Pam Melroy, who has recently been nominated actually to be our deputy administrator. She was giving a talk at a conference that I went to, and listening to her talk about the amazing technical and operational accomplishments of her crew really had me smitten. But the thing that I remember the most was the way she talked about her crewmates and how much she respected them. And that really is when I decided to apply, and I wound up applying twice to become an astronaut. Over. Emily, we actually can, and so you may not always know it though, because we see storms. You can see storms and lightning from up here, and you can see the big weather phenomena, the entire frontal systems as they move from continent or body of water to body of water, and that's really amazing, and it looks beautiful. But we have to remember that those have effects on the ground. But also, what we can see the most clear, I believe, is the change in water levels. So you can see how the coastlines of lakes and oceans changes, and that is probably the most drastic effect. And this is actually a great vantage point. Low Earth orbit is a great vantage point to see those because we go over those spaces so often. Over. Mila, the most important skill for an astronaut to master, in my opinion, is adaptability or flexibility. And I think that's challenging because we have to learn lots of skills, and you have to be really good at lots of different things. And in that process, I think it's control thing. The important aspect of being flexible and adaptable is letting go of a little bit of control, knowing you can't always control things, but then using all those skills and training that you have to be able to adapt when the time is right. Over. That's a good question, Marley, and I'm going to kind of change it around on you and tell you that I hope I would never have to. One of my goals with this is to share it with as many people as I can, like what we're doing right now, so that if those things were at risk, I would obviously be able to go and talk about the great benefits of investing in space exploration and how every dollar that we spend turns into $3 to $5 of economic activity. But really, the most important thing that I can do is inspire young people like you to grow up into adults who remember that for the rest of their lives, so that when those things do come, that you would also feel the need to say the same thing. That, to me, is much more important than anything I sunrises and sunsets every day. But what we usually use as our time scale up here is Greenwich Mean Time. It's what time it is in London, and that's how we determine our morning, midday, and our nighttime. So even though there may be lights outside, we'll shut the shutters because it's time to go to bed. Good question, over. Iris, I only did a little bit of Roscosmos training since I flew on an American spacecraft, but I think the difference, I would say, is the Roscosmos training focuses a little bit more on theory. The NASA training focuses a little bit more on experience and